Okay, yes.
Thank you. Asking, can we be given a list of the communities that are still marooned?
Yeah.
Whether or not food drops are taking place there, and if so, when did those drops start, and how regular are they? And then as well, I heard the announcement in Parliament about the Joint Select Committee. I heard the announcement of the Private Sector Committee, that Coordination Committee, but I'm still asking, why not an independent oversight committee to monitor implementation and expenditure?
Yeah. All right. So in terms of that question, that's one that we're going, the last one, on the governance framework. That is going to be discussed in Cabinet, and we started discussing it last week, and then there was also some indication from PM about putting in accountability structures. There are different ways that we can do it. I mean, we've spoken about the National Partnership Council, we've spoken about a committee of Parliament, we've spoken about many different things. And I think we're going to have another opportunity today in Cabinet to discuss what does that governance framework look like. And remember, there is the relief phase, which is what we're in now, and then the recovery phase. I think that's the one that's going to really need that kind of overarching body, because we're going to have to be asking some real serious questions about ourselves. Where do we rebuild? What do we rebuild? Given global warming and climate change, is it fit to put back communities where they were? Do we move them from where they were? What are the new building standards, and just generally accountability over all of the insurance money that's coming in and what we're doing. So that conversation that you're raising is actually one that we're having in Cabinet about what does this governance framework look like. And so you will be hearing more as the Prime Minister and the members of the Cabinet discuss that.
Marooned communities.
Marooned communities. The list, I think Commander Gale had noted that there is some fluidity to that, and that he has given assurance that he will put out that list of the communities and the drops and the food drops
taking place, and if so, when did they start? How early did they start, and how regular are they?
Okay, you can come. I know they're every day. they're very frequent. Yes.
So food drops have started. There is a running list today. I was trying to bring the list up now, but I believe of the 27 communities, we've been able to reach 22 thus far. So there is a running list, and we're doing food drops. We're trying to regularize the cycle, and surely we should be able to put something out.
Can you tell us when the food drops started, and when can we get a list?
When they started, the moment we started flying, which was the day after the passage of the hurricane. And the list, I won't promise you a time now, but to be expected shortly.
All right, we're going to have to wrap soon. I know there were two questions that I just needed to give responses to. There was the question that had come on sexual assaults at shelters. There was a specific one that had been referenced online. The Commissioner of Police has said that they also got the report. I gave them, but they got it before me, and that they are currently investigating, and they'll get back to us later today. On the environmental questions about John Cruz and the others, we'll try to ask our environmentalists in terms of what's the best thing to do with animal carcasses and so on, and we'll get an answer.
Just wanted to add one bit of information based on the questions that have been coming. Over 300 hours of flights coordinated between the Jamaica Defense Force and the U.S. military. That equates to over 100 drops over the last 7 days. And that does not include the other 15 helicopter assets that are being used by international charities, charitable organizations. That's just specific to the 6 from the U.S. military, and the 6? 6.
They didn't come all at once.
Right. So you'll recall also that the U.S. came in phases. Right? They didn't come all at once. There are 6 here now, but they didn't come all at once. So that's even more to show the efficiency of what's taking place in terms of our over 20,000 packages, and that's just from the government apparatus. Each package for a household is for 7 days. So it's a lot of logistics and planning to make sure that when we drop, that that family or that recipient has food for 7 days. The family has food for 7 days. So just wanted to add that to give you an understanding of the magnitude of what is taking place in our beloved Jamaica. In today being the 7th day since the hurricane hit.
All right, we have to close. I'm seeing a message that they were needed in cabinet, but let me have the last 2 questions over here. I see 2 hands. We're gonna just take both, and then we give the last set of answers. Microphone, please. Trying to get the mic up.
Testing. All right. Wait again. All right. So I know there's a little disquiet about changing the leadership at ODPEM at a time like this. Could you expand just a little bit more on the disaster management experience that Commander Gale has? And can you specify what role Mr. Thompson will have during this period, given that he has been acting at the ODPEM for quite a while, and before that he was deputy?
All right. I won't be able to answer all of that, but I can ask the commander to give you his CV. But just noting, I've worked with Mr. Thompson quite a bit as ODPEM head. In terms of when you're communicating, you have to speak to the head of ODPEM a lot. And he has worked hard for the country. And the Prime Minister has noted that last year there was an assessment done of ODPEM and the entire mechanism. It wasn't just ODPEM, of the entire disaster response mechanism. And a report was provided, Cabinet looked at it, and it was clear that we needed to look at ODPEM and look at executive experience. One of the things I know that the Ministry of Labour had done was to, not Labour, the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development had done was to start the process of rescoping the job description for the head of ODPEM, recognizing how important that role is, and also noting that the salary scale had to change, and PM did answer that question. And so what's happening now is that process is still in train, but it was felt that we needed to have greater synergies with the JDF, and having a commander who was already leading in the Emergency Operations Center. Remember, I told you, he was there in the center. He was one of the leaders in our Emergency Operations Center, was the best thing to have that synergy now. In terms of Mr. Thompson, he is still a part of the ODPEM team. I think he is probably a permanent member of staff. I would have to check that and get back to you, but I expect that he would still be there and still serving. There was another question, yes. And that's the last one because we have to wrap.
Thank you so much. Going back to my point about schools, I don't think you answered the second part of the question. In regards to, similar to how we have like field hospitals.
Right, okay, I'll answer that.
Students were supposed to do CXC and PEP. What's the plan to continue learning in those areas?
All right, so we have encouraged schools to open. And I know on Tuesday there were over 100 schools that had opened. So those who can should open. Obviously, we need to have water at the school and it needs to be a safe environment. But what we're going to do is to prioritize children doing exams, whether it's external in relation to CXC or CAPE, or if it is PEP exam. So while I was in St. Elizabeth, the principals were saying that they are getting schools back. It may take a while to get everybody in, but the priority was for those who are doing PEP and those who are doing CXC and CAPE, CSEC and CAPE. The other consideration for us and what we're starting to look at, as we're looking at temporary shelter for people, we're also looking at temporary school structures because we may have to use tents. We may have to get makeshift structures that our students can continue to learn in. So we've started that process. And so as the work is happening, and I've already spoken to Keith, he's looking at clear areas where we can put temporary housing, shelter. And I've said to him, while you're doing that, look for spaces that could house a temporary school structure. So we're doing that work now, and the ministry is working hard to figure out the damage, because some we can put tarpaulin on the top and we can get them open. And so we're going to be flexible as best as possible. But really for us, our goal is to get as many schools back. And I have the head of the Independent School Association here. They have been hit too, the independent schools, and we've committed to supporting them, because the entire education system is important to us. And so, yeah, we're going to be flexible, and everybody's going to be at school, but it will not look like school, regular school, when we start back. All right, and so those were all the questions. There was a lot, and I thank the media for coming and for asking your questions. And just know that we'll continue to do these updates. We'll try to make it 2 or 3 times a week. You'll have Commander Gale here. You'll have all of the relevant persons responding to your questions. This is a moment of crisis for our country, but it's also a moment for us to show who we are as Jamaicans. And we are a strong people. We're a resilient people. We're a God-fearing people. And we know that God is going to take us through this. And so as we go out there, I know there's a lot of sadness, especially for those who lost their loved ones or who lost so much in the hurricane. But let's help everyone. Let's be positive, and let's always remember to place all of our fears and troubles in the hands of God. He is never going to stop listening to us. And so as we close this morning, we again say, God bless every Jamaican, and God bless this country that we love so much. Thank you.